Clear? So I could ask you in the exam, so you should be able to do this. Okay, let's finish off SQL injection type before we leave. Okay, so this is a kind of a command injection attack. So, for example, if you have SQL query, okay, for which the parameters values are obtained by users, okay, and you inject the data direct or insert the data entered by the user directly into the query and execute it, there will be a problem. Okay, let's see some examples. Say this is a query to select information from the customer database depending on the username and password entered by the user. Simple query. Okay. So if you kind of have mechanisms to obtain inputs for the username and password from the user. So these are the variable names, password and username, and you kind of insert directly. If it's a regular user who enters only the authentic information, say the username equals the username entered by the user is this, and then the password equals whatever the password, you will be allowed to log in. No problem with this, right? Now instead, let's say for name I enter like this. Yeah, we'll watch out why it has to be a apostrophe here, or 1 equals 1, and then for password I also enter or 1 equals 1. So let's see what happens with this. This is the original query, right? The original query where you say name equals whatever user entered information, and you expect, you see, it was originally this NATJSU. This is actually what user will enter. The user will really enter only this, right? But you have to process it as what? By inserting the single quotes. So that's why I already have single quotes in my query. So whenever a user enters, the username is captured, that is added to this. So NATJSU, and you see I end this with a single quote, and then add password equals, again I have a single quote, and whatever the user entered information, I end it with a single quote, right? So this PASSWD will be simply entered by user as this. So now the single quotes get appended from the query that you have there. Okay. So that's why initially you have already username, name like this equal to like this. So this is what you are trying to enter as what? NATJSU, and then again you have and password equals like this, and then you have what? JSU9, right? So I'm changing the colors so that it's clear what we are doing. So if the user enters the things in the red as the input parameters, everything will be fine. Now instead of entering the things in the red like that, if I manipulate it like this by saying or what is that? 1 equals 1 or 1 equals 1, then what is happening here? Huh? It returns true. That's what you said? Right. See, name equals what? Again, you insert the black thing, it will be or 1 equals 1. Right? Actually, this should not be here because this is covered by this thing. So this will be and password equals what? Again, or 1 equals 1. Okay, so you end like this. That will take care of the single quotes. So you select star from the table where name equals open quotes, blank, end quote, or 1 equals 1. This will turn out to be what? It could be anything here, but once you have or 1 equals 1, 1 equals 1 is always true, right? So you could have a blank name like this or any name you want. Once you have or 1 equals 1, the clause is always true. And password equals the same thing. You could have anything, a blank password or 1 equals 1, that part is also true. So user can basically what? Select information from the database by passing information like this for the username and password. So this is what is called injection. You're trying to inject what? Values like this as inputs for these queries and try to retrieve information which you are not authorized to see again, because if you don't know the username and password means you are not supposed to know anything, right, in the database. So that's what it is. Okay? So that's the basic idea behind injection attacks. Now you can play with things. You can also do something like, you can just say instead of this, the second part, I can actually say something like this, or 1 equals 1, actually end it and this. I don't know if how many of you know SQL queries. So if you combine with this, how does it appear? Name, sorry, this is, the red one is the closing quote. So this is the opening quote, this is the closing quote. So it appears like name equals blank or 1 equals 1. Instead of requiring to give the information for password, I have something like this. Of course, then it will have and password blah 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 from the query itself. But what does this do?
Just comment that out.
Right. So this is still in the query, right? But I didn't really pass the password information. If once you put a semicolon, right, and then say 2 lines, hyphens like this, the rest following this is a comment. Okay, so when the query is executed, it's executed only up to this point, up to the semicolon. It's like how you comment using forward slash in a program. That's how you comment in a query. So the rest is treated as a comment. Okay. So if you pass inputs like this, you don't even need the other one. You can just access information just with one input like this. Okay. So it's another way of causing injection attacks. Okay. Sometimes the fields may not be strongly typed. So this all depends on how you process the inputs in your SQL queries in your program, right? If you write a database program using a language like Java, C++, and inside the program, if you directly embed the user entered inputs, you have to be careful. Okay? So for example, there is a field called user ID, and it's very, say, loosely typed, which means it's not, you're not really testing for its type. So ideally it should be entered 1, right, say, or any integer. On the other hand, instead of entering an integer, let's say you enter this as the input 1, but hide semicolon and drop table. So this is like doing what? Combining 2 queries. This is itself a query, select star from table customer database where ID equals 1, that itself is one query. And then you are executing another query in the same statement, right? So you can do that if you know database or not. You can execute multiple queries in one single statement like this. So it will select the table, information from the table, display whatever it is, and then drop the table. It's not the same table, it's a different table, drop table users. Okay? So with this, why this is allowed? Because we don't check for what is the dead type of the information if someone enters for user ID. If you check if the information entered for user ID is an integer only, then this will not be possible. If you don't check for that, someone will enter a string like 1, drop table users, the whole thing as a string for user ID as an input, okay, and run that query. So it will display ID equals to whatever it is, then it will drop the table. So this happens if you have what? You don't check for type, okay, the data type of your inputs entered by the user. Okay, so this is another way of launching SQL injection attacks. So there are some database steps that allow multiple queries to be executed. If you want to prevent that, we'll come to that later. If you want to prevent don't allow multiple SQL queries, that's actually one of the solutions. Okay, so MySQL doesn't allow you to run multiple SQL queries in one single statement. Okay, some databases prevent you from running multiple SQL queries, while some other databases can allow you. That's an optimization step, right? But it has this vulnerability. We'll see this too. So another way, which is really the more stricter way, or really you have to do it very strictly, in the sense that if you want to prevent the SQL injection attack, you have to pass what the user entered, right? So the user entered input should not have special characters like the single quotes or the semicolon or this hyphen, any of this. So you should really come up with a set of characters that are kind of not allowed. Okay? So that is what is called sanitization. Sanitization means going through the input and making sure those special characters which could have the vulnerability of causing the SQL injection attacks are not allowed. Okay? So if you have, say, a password field that allows only 8 characters, of course you can go through all of this. But if you have, say, a forum where someone can enter like 1000 characters or any number of characters, you have to really go through all possible characters in the huge list, right? Also, you cannot clearly come up, if you cannot come up with a list of characters to sanitize, it's difficult. There may be any number of characters a user can attack. You have to really think about it. I think we talked about the blacklist, whitelist approach, right? The same thing. You have to have a set of characters that you do not allow. Also, you can have a set of characters that you do allow. So you have to really compare the input entered by the user with both and then sanitize. Okay? So that is really the more stricter way of doing it. And as one last thing, you can also use what is called, depending on the programming environment you use. So if you use Java or even C# that allows this, what is called parameterized statements. Okay, so the language itself offers some packages that you can allow use to prevent this attack. Okay, so Java uses what's called a prepared statement class. So everything in blue is actually a built-in JDBC, Java Development Database Connection class, and a SQL query keyword. So where and of course you know there are SQL query keywords, and words are very green to denote the built-in functions. So this is an object, DB database connection object, and you can, this is the method or function that you can invoke on that object. Now you see what I do here, select start from customer database where username equals this question mark and password equals question mark. So then you say prepared statement set string 1 username and 2 password. What it really means is this. The first question mark is really represented using this, and this is supposed to be a string. The second question mark is represented using this, and this is supposed to be a string. Like that, if you have the ID thing, user ID equals question mark, you can say set int and number 3, whatever it is, right? So you are really declaring the data type of each of your parameters. So someone cannot really enter anything that they want. Okay? So for example, if you have, let's stop with that. So let's say select start from the table users where user ID equals say question mark. So this is a query. Okay, so different from this, but this is probably more easier to understand. So now I can say prepare statement set ID, so set int 1 comma user ID. So this will indicate the input that you are expecting from the user and embedded into this query, like here the first input is supposed to be an integer. So if someone enters that long string, 1 comma semicolon drop table and all those things, this will return error message. It will not process because it's expecting an integer. So if you entered a string for that parameter, it will return an error message. So basically you are trying to set what is the data type. There may be ways also you can set the length, how long that input could be. Okay, so we have to look at the API and see what are the different functions they have. But this is very simple method where you can set the data type of the expected parameter, right? And the order. So 1 is really this one and 2 is this. So if we have some more, you can say prepare statement that says third one is an integer, then you can say set in 3 comma this. So really specify what is the order of these parameters in the input in the SQL query, and then set the data type of them. Right? So this way you can really accept inputs of only that particular data type. You cannot really have this data type problem where someone can enter a long string for an integer and cause data. Clear? So that's what's called parameterized statement. So this is one of the preferred ways if you really do all this JDBC stuff or try to develop database programs in a high-level programming environment, you may want to use this. Okay? So we'll stop with this. How many of you have gone to the lab and